So my whole family were teachers ever since I was a kid. My mom was a teacher, dad was a teacher, grandma and grandpa, stepmom. I come from a very long line of teachers. And so, funny enough, I had just come back from Australia after living there for a year. And I knew that I wanted a place that had a lot of people from all over the world, like international influence, and had a global mindset. And so I was looking for a place like that in Michigan. I didn't find any place I really loved. And then my aunt and uncle lived in Falls Church City and said that their sons and daughters, which were my cousins, they went to TJ and they absolutely love TJ and I might like it too. So I applied and I love it here.
What did you do before TJ?
So before TJ, I went to Michigan State to get my college degree to become a teacher. And part of that program is you have to teach for 1 year in a different school. So I taught first grade at this elementary school called Glen Cairn. And I did that for a full year. Then I went to Australia and I taught in a few schools in Australia. Like I would teach little lessons here and there. And I taught a couple lessons in China, and I taught a couple lessons in Fiji and Thailand. So it was a pretty awesome experience.
What is your favorite book?
Ooh, I love Patricia Polacco. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. I've actually met her when I was in 4th grade. And one of the stories I always tell my students is that I met Patricia Polacco and I said, one of my favorite books that you read or that you wrote was called Pink and Say. And I love that book. And in the book, it tells you at the end of the story that it was a true story. And Abraham Lincoln shook the hand of the soldier that the book is about. So that soldier was Patricia Polacco's great-great-great-grandpa. So everyone that shakes her hand is said to have shook the hand that shook the hand that shook the hand that shook the hand that shook the hand of Abraham Lincoln. And so I loved meeting her, and I loved the story she said, and I always tell my kids that story, and they want to shake my hand. But I would say, so either Pink and Say or Thunder Cake are my 2 favorite stories from her. In terms of like book series, like not a picture book, but like an actual chapter book, I would probably say the Harry Potter series is my favorite. Of course.
What school did you go to?
I went to an elementary school called Washington Elementary School. We had our own theme song that we sang every morning, which was fun. I still sing it sometimes just because. And I went to Legg Middle School and Coldwater High School. And then to become a teacher, I went to Michigan State for both my bachelor's degree and my master's.
What is your favorite quote?
Like a quote from someone famous.
I will say from Mahatma Gandhi, it's very a common quote, but I just think about it all the time. It is, be the change you wish to see in the world, because I like the idea that people are taking initiative and they're not just blaming others for like the downfalls of the world, but saying if you want the world to change, the change starts with you. So it kind of encourages people to take a stance and to make a difference, and I really like that.
What is your favorite subject to teach?
Man, actually, funny enough, I hated math as a student, but I love teaching math as a teacher because I love doing math workshop. And when I was in school, we didn't play math games. And as a teacher, you can create or find really awesome math games. And I think that that's kind of exciting for students. And I also think because I didn't like math as a student, it's nice to, when I find someone who also doesn't like math, to show them that math can be really fun.
What's your favorite thing to do with kids in or outside of school?
My favorite thing to do with kids? What do you mean by that?
Like students.
Like let's say, do you like to if you have like children, do you like to like play at the park, play games with your kids?
Or
If you have, if there's something you really like doing with your students in school.
I will say this: it's kind of a hard question for me to answer that because I don't have any I don't have any kids of my own. But I will say that I love it in terms of like what I like to do in my free time. Usually I don't see my students during my free time unless I'm going to see one of their concerts or if I happen to run into them in the city. But some things I like to do when I have free time is I love running. I've run a full marathon and a lot of half marathons. I also really like to rock climb. Like there's a place called Earth Tracks. It's really cool. You can rock climb inside. I also love to read. I read all the time. I read a ton of books. And when I was a kid, oh my gosh, I could not read enough. I just loved it. So those are the things. Oh, and I have a puppy who's 6 months old, and so I play with her a lot. Go on walks and hikes and stuff.
How many kids are in your class?
It's been changing a lot lately because I've had a couple kids come and a couple kids leave. But I think right now I have 23.
how long have you worked at TJ?
This is my 3rd year at TJ.
How long have you lived in Falls Church?
Also 3 years. I actually moved here, fun fact, I moved here about 2 weeks before I started at TJ. And I moved here to Falls Church because I got a job here.
Where did, let's see. What's your favorite forest animal?
So for those of you that don't know, because not everyone might know, my room is a forest. And the reason why it's a forest is because in Michigan there are so many pine trees everywhere, especially in up north Michigan. And I came here and there are a lot of beautiful trees, but not many pine trees. So I thought if I'm not going to be in Michigan, I'll just kind of bring the forest to Virginia. So my room is a forest, and my favorite animal is a fox. A foxy fox. I've got foxes everywhere.
So, what is your favorite sports team?
Ooh, I always support the college that I went to school, so Michigan State. Anytime the Spartans, that's our mascot, the Spartans, every time the Spartans play any game, I am always rooting for them. Always. Doesn't matter what sport. Although football, if I'm going to watch a sport, football is probably my favorite to watch. I also love watching the Washington Capitals. I like hockey a lot.
How many countries have you been to?
Good question. It's actually on my bucket list to make it to 30 countries before I turn, until the end of my 30th year. I want to make it to 30 countries, and I am currently at 21.
Wow.
So I need to go to 9 more countries in a year and a half. So fingers crossed on that. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but we'll see.
Okay. Now, what is your favorite food?
Well, I have to think, actually, when you were asking all the places that I've been, so I've been to 21 countries. My favorite country is definitely Australia. I just love Australia. I've actually been there 3 times. I love it. I love the food. I love the people. I love the culture. I love the atmosphere. But if you're asking what my favorite food is, that's really hard. Actually, pretzels. I love pretzels. Like, pretzels and Starbucks coffee are like my 2, like day to day. If you were to say, what is one food you cannot live without, I would say hot pretzels. I would say pretzels so fast your head would spin. But if you're asking like what's my favorite meal, I love Italian food. So like anything that's Italian, like pasta, pizza, garlic bread, I want all of it.
Is there a country that you haven't been to yet that you really, really want to go to?
Yes, there is. Actually, on my bucket list, starting from I would remember so clearly, I was 6 years old. I wanted to go to Greece and Croatia. And those are two countries in Europe that are beautiful. They're right by the ocean, and the buildings are beautiful, and the water is just gorgeous. So I'm going to go to Croatia for spring break, actually. I still haven't been to Greece, though. I really want to go to Greece.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That would be the entire interview.
Yay! Thanks, guys. Okay, so